So as we're getting started tonight, what we're going to do is start off with the bolster, long ways right behind us. So the legs can be any orientation. You can have feet planted, you could have cross legs, you could have long legs. It's kind of up to you, but bring the bolster right up to the back side of your hips. And then I like to ease down by putting a hand on each side on the ground. And then just start to bend your elbows. As you make your way down, just start to release the arms. This brings our heart into a gentle heart opener. If the neck is uncomfortable, you could take a blanket just right under the head. Make sure that the neck and the spine feel really good. And so this heart opener gives us a first really good chance to start exploring with the breath. So we're resting here for a time. Start to feel how different it is to breathe into this really open posture than it sometimes feels to breathe into a hunched posture. Notice the sensation of breathing through the throat. Notice how that feels. Notice the sensation of the heart rising and falling. Notice once again that belly breath, breathing all the way into that belly button area. Take lots of time in restorative yoga to allow our body space and time to just sink into the different variety of poses that we'll take. And so for me, I love to use images to help my practice become almost like a meditative experience. So imagine through our class today that each time we simply relax into a beautiful posture that we find ourselves in, imagine that calmness, we really start to find presence and sinking into the pose. That calmness is like breathing light into our body. Sometimes the numbness that we kind of carry around with us, that ignoring of our body that we do, can seem like darkness, just kind of pervading our bodies. Sometimes it's especially present on some areas that are chronically tight, or just have past injuries, all sorts of things there. So imagine as we gradually progress our way through class today, imagine we're helping to pick up some of the darkness out of those tight areas, carry that darkness away so that eventually we just have light left over. Using that image of light, let's just allow ourselves to relax into this present moment. Be here about 5 more good, deep, relaxing breaths. So just let it flow. Being in this beautiful spot, take one more deep breath in. breathe out. And then start to bring your arms to the space in front of your chest. Grab onto each elbow. And then the elbows tilt directly over to the right. You'll notice as they pull off to that side, your left shoulder is brought into a nice stretch. So be conscientious of that area and readjust in ways that feel really helpful for that left shoulder. Sometimes I'll start off with plugging that left shoulder down as far as I can tuck it. And then this right elbow will point to the angle that helps the most. So some days it's higher, some days it's lower. Just find a good spot that kind of just floats in that area, and then just breathe into the left shoulder stretch. Bring the elbows back up, tilt them over to the left. Do the same thing, have lots of care, lots of time to get that right shoulder into the perfect angle. One more beautiful breath in. Out. Lifting the elbows up, release the hands. Keep the elbows at 90-degree angles like goalposts in football. And then just let the elbows open up to the left and the right, as far open as it feels good. Notice that stretch starting to come into the front part of the chest, the pecs. See if you can try to inhale some light into that area. Imagining that inhale affects that beautiful sense of sun, warmth, energy. And the exhale releases the stagnation. And as we start to release the arms from that position, what we're going to do to return to flat on our back is kind of roll off the bolster to one side like a fetal position. Once you're there, you'll push the bolster away from you. And then you'll just roll yourself back onto the floor. Sometimes it takes a couple of breaths for the muscles of your back to readjust the flat plane again. I got so used to that gentle arch. So once you're back here, open Shavasana type position, just allow a couple of really good relaxing breaths flow. Tuck the shoulders under in a way that feels helpful for the breath. As you're visualizing that light coming into the body, notice if the areas of darkness have shifted now that our body's in a different shape. So enjoy another beautiful inhale. Exhale. And then from here, let's start to locate our strap. So this is a strap with a buckle. What we're going to try to do is open up the entire strap, and then we're going to create a locked large loop. So generally the way that the straps are set up is you have to feed the end of the strap through both buckles and then loop back out just the farthest one. Then that creates a locked position. If you pull on it, it doesn't slide out. So that's the type of position we're trying to look for here. It's going to be a very large loop to start off with. Some of us might tighten it later, but start off with almost at the end of the strap. It's pretty much as big of a loop as you can get. So once you've got that set up, you'll place your right ball of the foot into one side. And then eventually we're going to place the back of the head into the other end. Obviously, you don't want the metal pieces on your head, so kind of shift that off to the side a little bit. And then you'll start to take the strap right behind the head. You'll want the strap to be right in that spot that's lifting your neck up. So if it's too high, it'll kind of slip off the head. If it's too low, your head rocks backwards. So it's that perfect spot where it just stays lifted. And once you're there, you'll kind of notice that this does two things at the same time. So it both allows the hamstring to be in a gentle stretch at the same time that the neck is in a gentle stretch. And it's no forceful quality, just ease. If you're here and you're one of those people that you're not really in a very deep stretch at all, at that point you have permission to start tightening the strap as deep as you want it to go, to still be restful, but also just a nice passive hamstring stretch. Choose that perfect depth. Make sure the back of the head is comfortable. And then all we have to do is just breathe. Returning back to that image of light. Especially since we've got a deep stretch going on for that hamstring. Imagine breathing light. The light travels to the hamstring, swirling around. And it tries to see if there's any darkness that wants to be taken out with your exhale. We'll be resting and breathing through this leg. Take about 3 more good, deep, relaxing cycles. Sooner or later, when your third breath completes, we'll begin to switch sides. I like to make sure the head is supported. So I'll take the hands onto each side. Then all you have to do is step your left foot in and drop your right foot down. Good. So make sure everything's still comfortable. The foot's good, the neck is good. And begin to ease into this shape. If you notice you're kind of pulling to resist against it, especially with our neck and shoulders, that's one of those old tendencies we have to kind of keep ourselves in the head space, that intellectual zone. See if instead, at least for this next couple of breaths, see if you can relax into the body space, relax into gravity. Once again, try to imagine light swirling in on this side. Maybe it's a very different story than your first half. added benefit of doing this pose is that the blood pressure in the foot, that left foot right now, is almost 0. So because the feet carry us through our day, that almost never happens. So this is extremely healthy for the blood vessels of this entire leg. And the lymph as well, the lymph getting to drain out while we're just breathing and resting here. That perfect spot to take those 3 more good deep breaths. Whenever you finish that 3rd breath, gently free the head out, dropping the head back to the floor. We'll switch our legs out. So right foot steps back in, left leg drops back to the ground. Once the right foot is in, slip the fabric off the foot so you've got a hula hoop around your thigh essentially. You'll tighten the hula hoop up quite a bit. To me, it's about the size of, I don't know, like a beach ball maybe? Something a bit tighter like that. So you just pull on the flag until it gets tighter and tighter. Good. And then whenever you've got it a bit tighter, you've got the right thigh in, and you're going to take the left upper arm in. So crossing over the body. Right thigh, left arm. Good. From that cross, we're going to start inviting that right leg into a twist. So you'll begin to send the knee over to the left. And the left arm, its purpose in this position is to direct the intensity. So the higher the arm goes up, as in toward that back wall, the deeper it pulls the thigh into the twist. The lower the arm goes down, the more gentle it is for the hip. So you get to control the intensity based on where that left hand ends up. So Kathy, switch it to the other arm. It should be left arm. Perfect. That'll help you out. That'll get you there. Good. Good. And then just let it tilt over to that side. Just like that. Yep. Now we got it there. Good. Just because we're in a twist doesn't mean we have to force the spine too deep. Obviously, always listen to the body. Keep the shoulders grounded. And then just control the angle with that left arm until the twist is just right. Allow the good deep breaths to continue to flow through the body. And breathe into the spots that you're noticing here, maybe new spots in the body, the hip, the low back, the IT band. Depending on your body, any of those areas could be what's speaking to you. Let's take 3 more good relaxing breaths. And we'll begin to ease our spine back down. Our hips are both on the floor again. We'll take one more chance to switch out the legs. So step the left leg in, drop the right leg out. Remember, it's the opposite. So with left leg in, it's going to be right arm in. If you're ready to start tilting to the twist, let your knee cross over your body toward the right. And it's your right arm that directs the angle. It can be higher, it can be lower. Notice how this half responds. Maybe it's a very different story than the first half. See if you can return to that image of breathing light. Just notice how the light wants to swirl through these new spots that are being activated. Take 3 more breaths for this part. Whenever you finish that 3rd breath, sooner or later, feel free to release the strap off to the side. When we return our hips to the ground, get both feet planted. We'll do a few easy windshield wipers. So both knees fall over to the left, eventually over to the right. Just give it a few easy cycles to both sides. Good. As all of these areas start to feel really good, we'll start to make our way up toward a seated position. So oftentimes in restorative class, all I do is just take a nice fetal position. Sometimes I'll just pause, enjoying a bonus breath or two. Eventually just press your way up. Good. So as we're heading into this next pose, it's going to be a wide leg straddle pose. So know that we've got lots of options that we can do, especially with the bolster. So first and foremost, if just sitting here is difficult, you'll want to sit on your bolster. That'll be an amazing variation. Otherwise, if sitting isn't too bad, what we'll start to do is take the bolster in front of us. We can use it as an easy thing to lean up against. So sometimes people will use the bolster at a tall height and just kind of ease your way forward. Sometimes it's a much lower height as you start to relax deeper and deeper. So kind of choose that height that feels perfect for your body today based on how it's feeling. And we're just going to take plenty of time here to relax and to breathe that image of light swirling through the body here. I personally love to make sure my head is comfortable. So sometimes that means I'm going to stack my hands or even fist if I need a few bonus inches. And that'll give my head something easy to rest onto. If that's helpful, take it. If not, leave it. That's how a restorative class works. We'll take a moment here to shift everything closer to the right leg. So that could mean the bolster's coming right up to the right leg and we lean onto it. Maybe the tall height, maybe low height. It could mean we hook onto our strap and just grab that direction instead. You can use your props as needed to do helpful assisting for our body. Let's shift everything over to the left. Enjoy one more deep breath for this side. As we slide back through the center, let's allow ourselves just a couple of extra breaths to see if we can sink just a bit deeper than we were earlier. Maybe there's more space that's been created. Let's be here about 3 more beautiful breaths. I like to rise up by planting my hands and then slowly walking my hands closer to my hips. That'll support the muscles of the back, helping to make sure that everything still feels good. Beautiful. So notice in your body, after being in a forward fold so long, it's almost like the body's craving to go backwards. So go ahead and shift your bolster to be behind you again. We'll head into a nice quadricep stretch. So you'll take your left foot and tuck it sideways. So the goal here will be to aim for stretching that left quad. So if your knee is already speaking to you, it's already intense, the way you can lessen that intensity is actually sit up on the bolster. If you're doing okay here, and you want to try to head backwards, yep, just like that, you'll just look right up and you're good to go. Beautiful. So if this is doing okay, you'll start to plant the hands behind you. And sometimes just right here is plenty. If you want more, you can start to drop down to the right elbow, Still want more, maybe to the left elbow, and that places us right up onto the bolster. The big thing we're listening for is that knee. If the knee's like right at the edge, it's still happy, but not doesn't want to go further. That's how you know. That's your stop spot. Don't go any further. If you're pretty much laying up on the bolster and you still want more for that quad, the knee's doing great. All you'll do is scoop your tailbone under and up like a little ice cream scoop, and that will bring that quad. So scoop it under and up. That'll bring that left quad directly into the stretch. And this is a great space to just pause and breathe. Imagine at least 3 or 4 breaths of light swirling around the quad, around the knee, around the front of the hip. I'll take one more good inhale. With the exhale, we slowly reverse every step we did to get into it. So if you were on elbows, roll over the right elbow, and then find your hands planting to press up. And then we'll free out the left leg. That feels good. Sometimes it's nice to let the knees kind of rock left and right a few times. Eventually we can aim to the right leg, tucking the right one back. Sometimes this one's very different, so maybe you need to sit up on the bolster. Being on the floor feels okay. Maybe we tilt backwards a little bit, heading to hands. Maybe left elbow. Sometimes it's possible to roll onto the back. Oftentimes one side is very different than the other. So if this side wants that last little scoop of the tailbone under and up, great, you're welcome to add it in. If this side is telling you something very different and it's already in a good spot, don't feel like you have to push it. Allow the light to swirl around this area. Another 3 or 4 good breaths. And after this next exhale, let's reverse our way back up again. No need to rush it. Every step we did to come down, let's use it to come back up. Once we're there, a couple of easy wiggles for the knees, left and right. Good. Let's bump our way up onto the bolster. It can be short ways, it can be long ways, doesn't matter too much. once we're sitting up onto it, we'll take our yogic squat pose. So if this one's pretty difficult, feet further away is going to be easier. You'll notice how it's easier to sit up tall. You just gently push the hips open by getting those elbows to the knees. If it feels okay to scoot your feet in maybe part way or all the way up to the bolster, that's also fine. You're listening especially to your spine. We don't want to aggravate the back. We're just doing a kind opening for the hips by pushing the elbows outward. So while those hips are gently being opened, let's allow our neck to get some bonus stretches. So sitting up as tall as possible. Allow the right ear to gently drop down to right shoulder. You can play around with this. Sometimes it's nice to go just slightly behind the shoulder or slightly in front of the shoulder. Sometimes that gets the spots that are tightest. So just playing around with that ear, going more or less to the right side. Find a good position to just breathe and pause. Eventually ease the head back up. And we'll start to head to the second side, left ear over left shoulder. Head eases back up. Then we'll let the forehead drop down all the way to the center. Sometimes it's fun to place the forehead down onto the middle fingers. That would not only help the hips continue to be pressed open by the head pushing the hands further down, a gentle wrist stretch there as well. But it also lets gravity kind of take over. So that's option one. If you feel like your neck isn't able to go all the way into the stretch that way, you could let go of the finger part of it and then just let the head drop down instead. So it's up to you, whatever feels best, to allow that back side of the neck to get a gentle touch to open. Two more breaths. And as the head rises up, let just the right leg slide open. Out to the side. The left hand will come up to that left knee. And essentially what we're doing as the left hand pushes that left knee open, we're twisting our torso toward the straight leg and then leaning forward. So this gives us kind of three things at once. We're getting that hip to open, leaning forward, we're getting the hamstring, and we've also got that gentle twist for the spine. We're going to breathe light, let the light swirl around. Gently let the spine roll its way up. We'll switch the legs out. The right hand pushes the right knee open. Twist toward the straight leg, and start to lean toward that leg. More breaths of light swirling around this part of the body. Rolling up. So we slide off the bolster. Take the bolster behind you again, long ways. From there, we'll start off with the feet planted in front of us, but then immediately both knees will get to tilt over to the right. Good. Pull the bolster up to that right hip. It's almost like we're sitting side saddle. You can tuck your legs in any way that feels comfortable. Pull the bolster up to that right hip. And then as we're facing the bolster, one hand is going to go on the floor at each side of the bolster. Once we're there, gently bend the elbows. That will lower the chest down directly into the bolster. And you choose which ear can be placed down. If you place your right ear down, it's much more gentle for the neck. Left ear will be a neck twist. So you choose how much the body wants. And then just allow your body to receive this pose. If the hands want to slide to a more comfortable position, that's great. If the top leg wants to scoot back to increase that quad and psoas stretch, that's great. Just allow yourself to breathe through this very gentle, very passive twist. One more inhale for this side. Exhale. And then planting the hands under the shoulders, press into the hands. That will lift the spine up. Face back forward, lifting the knees up. And then tilt them over to the second side. We'll have the bolster up to that left hip. One hand on the floor on each side of the bolster. Gently lower the sternum down. And then again, you choose which ear to stay resting down for this time. Imagine with the light having swirled all over the body. Maybe at this point, the light is willing to swirl around the mind, releasing all the cares that we have with our exhales. Last breath for this time. Make it really deep. And slide in under the shoulders, gently press into them. As we face back forward, we take a chance to listen to our body. You have a couple of options for Shavasana as we're starting to head toward that peaceful finish to our class. So perhaps you want the bolster behind you, opening up your spine like the way that we started class. Another nice option is bolster under the knees, allowing the legs to be gently propped up as we're laying back. And there may be even a different kind of Shavasana that you want instead. So don't feel like there's any pressure. Listen to your body and find the position that feels the most comfortable, the most restful for our physical body, for our mind, for our breath. We always take this Shavasana at the end of our classes because this is a time for our body and our mind to integrate, to become one, to work toward union or yoga. All it takes, though, is this easy breath. So if it's still useful to breathe in light, breathe out darkness, keep that kind of breath flowing. Otherwise, just allow that breath to go deep and full. We'll be here for several more minutes. Just let yourself kind of wonder, how deep into relaxation can I go? How deep is that cave? How much can I explore? Here we'll begin to deepen our inhales. Our exhales. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes. Ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. At some point, taking a nice fetal position off to one side. I personally love to enjoy a few bonus breaths, maybe 3 or 4 huge, deep cycles of breath flowing through the body. At some point, sooner or later, we'll make our way up toward a comfortable seated position. Hands joining together at the heart. We recall just one more time today that image of allowing light in, allowing it to take over, giving permission for that old stagnancy to leave. So perhaps this is extremely symbolic for you. Maybe there's things where you feel stuck in life. It's like that stale darkness. So can we use this present moment, this breath, to breathe fresh life for those things? So with this image to lead us on toward freshness, toward this rejuvenation, this new excitement toward life. With this to lead us on, let's wrap up the time we shared together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, happiness, and peace. Namaste.